All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today's deep dive takes us to Azanska University College of Design and Technology in Ghana. We've got a pretty interesting mix of stuff here, a student handbook and admission policies, even some potential student records. We're going to figure out what makes AUCDT stand out, what type of student should consider going there, and what else we can learn from all of this. Sound good?
It does, yeah. It looks like a good mix of information.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the founding story. It's not every day you hear about a design school with roots in the gold industry, right?
That's true. Not exactly your average university origin story. Kwabena Asante Asare, the founder, he built his career in gold and diamonds. And he realized that Ghana's gold had so much potential just waiting to be unlocked. That's what sparked the idea for AUCDT.
So instead of just exporting raw materials, he was thinking bigger, adding value within Ghana itself.
Precisely. It all started with student attachment reports at his jewelry company, Asante Asare's company, that is. He saw firsthand this need for a new generation of skilled people, artisans, and designers, people who could take Ghana's resources and turn them into sought-after products.
It's about taking something raw, something with potential, and shaping it into something, well, extraordinary.
Yeah, you got it. And that idea is really woven into AUCDT's DNA. Actually, during those early discussions, the experts even recommended expanding beyond just jewelry, which led to incorporating product design, thanks to some input from the late Emmanuel Ansa.
Emmanuel Ansa?
Yeah, a very well-known, renowned industrial designer.
I'm curious, do you think having this mix of people involved in the early stages, this diverse group, do you think that might have created some tension, some debate as they shaped AUCDT's direction?
Possibly, yeah. Bringing together different backgrounds, different viewpoints, it often leads to some creative friction. But, that friction can also spark some really cool innovations, push boundaries, and you end up with a more well-rounded institution as a result.
From jewelry to product design, quite an evolution. And this all happened pretty recently, right?
Yeah, the journey from Asanska Jewelry Ltd. In 2004 to achieving university college status in 2021 is pretty amazing, speaks to their ambition and the rapid growth.
It's like they're a design school in a hurry to make its mark on the world. So let's talk vision and mission. What does AUCDT stand for?
Their vision is to become an internationally respected hub. A hub for design education and research, that's the goal. And their mission, it's all about providing top-notch training in arts, design, and technology. But importantly, contributing to national development as well. They aren't just focused on individual success, they're aiming to be a force for positive change in Ghana.
Their core values are listed in the handbook: diligence, accountability, honesty, pride in work, self-improvement, innovation, nation building. But it's one thing to list them, quite another to live by them. What stood out to you about how these values are actually reflected in AUCDT's approach?
It's fascinating how they weave that concept of nation building into their actual curriculum. It's not some abstract thing. It's actively encouraged for the students to embody it through their work. Imagine a jewelry design student tasked with creating a collection that showcases Ghana's cultural heritage, or explore sustainable practices using local materials.
So they're not just teaching design, they're fostering a sense of responsibility, of purpose.
Exactly. They're equipping students to be more than designers. They're agents of change within their communities and for Ghana as a whole.
Which brings us to their very unique philosophy. It's built on 3 pillars: natural resource value addition, creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit. And wisdom through sustainable design thinking. They're all connected, almost like a recipe for their approach to education.
You've hit the nail on the head. Those pillars aren't just buzzwords. They're at the core of AUCDT's identity. And they all tie back to this idea of transforming potential into something valuable. Raw materials, creative ideas, even the students themselves.
Okay, let's break this down. Natural resource value addition, that's clearly linked to the founder's background, and their vision for Ghana's resources being used thoughtfully. But how does that actually play out in the learning experience?
It goes beyond just teaching how to work with materials, gold, wood, whatever. It's about understanding the entire value chain: sourcing, production, design, marketing, the whole process. Students are encouraged to consider the impact of their choices: environmental, social impact, and how design can drive economic growth and sustainability.
It's almost like they're training design activists, people who use their skills to make a tangible difference. And what about the creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit pillar?
Well, that one emphasizes that AUCDT isn't just about producing graduates who are technically skilled. It's about cultivating a mindset, an entrepreneurial drive,
Yeah.
willingness to experiment, to push those boundaries. They don't want them just getting a job. They want them creating jobs, being problem solvers, innovators.
It's instilling a sense of agency in their students. But some might argue that focusing so heavily on natural resources limits their scope, especially in today's globalized world. What would you say to that?
That's a fair point. But I think AUCDT sees that focus on natural resources as a strength, something that sets them apart. They're using Ghana's abundance of natural resources as a launching pad for innovation, challenging students to find creative, sustainable ways to utilize them. It's finding solutions that are relevant to their context while still being open to global trends and perspectives.
So it's not inward-looking. It's about using their local context as a foundation for a global impact.
Exactly, and that brings us to the third pillar, wisdom through sustainable design thinking. It's about looking beyond aesthetics and function, thinking about the long-term consequences of design choices.
It's about responsibility for the planet for future generations. Are there any concrete examples of how this plays out in your curriculum or student projects?
Absolutely. For example, students in the product design program might tackle projects that address local challenges, like waste management or access to clean water. And they use sustainable design principles to come up with solutions that are innovative, but also environmentally and socially responsible.
So it's not just designing products, it's designing for a better future.
Exactly. And that's what makes AUCDT so compelling.
I like that, designing for a better future. It really seems to capture their essence. Okay, we've talked philosophy and values, inspiring stuff, but let's get down to brass tacks. How does AUCDT actually select students who will embody all of this? This logo with all these symbols representing their aspirations, who gets to walk through AUCDT's doors?
That's where those admission requirements come into play. They offer various pathways, recognizing that talent can come from different places. They have options for students with WASA SEGBC qualifications, BCE diplomas.
Sounds like they're casting a wide net, trying to attract a diverse range of students. But let's not get lost in the weeds of every single pathway. Remember, we have Priscilla and Tamfuo's records. Let's see if their qualifications align with what AUCDT is looking for.
You're right. Let's apply what we've learned to these potential students. Priscilla wants to get a bachelor's in jewelry design technology. She gave us her WASI scores.
Let's see if she makes the cut. First things first. Does she meet the minimum requirements for those core subjects? English language, core mathematics, and integrated science.
She does, yeah. She scored a B3 in both English language and core mathematics, and a B2 in integrated science. Those are well above the minimum grade of C6 that AUCDT requires for bachelor's programs.
Okay, she's off to a strong start. Now, for jewelry design technology, her grades in the specific electives will be important.
Definitely. We need to look at how she did in general knowledge in art, ceramics, graphic design, and textiles.
I'm curious to see those, especially after learning about how much AUCDT emphasizes creativity and innovation.
Well, she got an A1 in general knowledge and art. That's impressive. It suggests she has a real talent and passion for her chosen field. She also got a B2 in ceramics.
Those are fantastic scores. It seems like she's really found her niche. What about graphic design and textiles?
She got a C5 in both. Not as exceptional as her art scores, but they still meet the minimum requirements.
All right, good to know. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the aggregate score. Remember, AUCDT recently made a change requiring a minimum aggregate of 36 for WASI candidates.
You're right, and this is where Priscilla might run into trouble. Her total aggregate score, taking into account both core and relevant elective subjects, comes to 16.
That's significantly lower than what's needed now. It's a shame. She clearly shines in the subjects directly related to her field. Does this mean her AUCDT dream is over?
Not necessarily. Remember, ACDT is all about opportunity. She could apply through the mature student entry route. It's an option for people who might not have followed a traditional academic path, but have gained experience and skills along the way.
So even though she doesn't meet those direct entry requirements right now, there's still a path for her.
Absolutely. She could retake the WASI and try for a higher aggregate score, or look into that mature student entry route if she meets the age criteria and feels confident.
So there isn't always just one way to succeed. Sometimes it takes some creative thinking and a willingness to explore different options.
You got it.
All right, let's shift gears to Tumfo Jones. His case is interesting. He comes in with a technical examination result from Kampendu Technical Institute, specializing in mechanical engineering technology. We have His results here, he passed all 4 components of the exam with flying colors, a pass for workshop processes and materials, and credit grades for mechanical engineering craft practice, machine shop engineering, and technical drawing. These are solid results, but do they translate into AUCDT's world?
That's where things get a little tricky. We'd need more info to say for sure if he's eligible. What bachelor's degree is he interested in? Is it related to his technical background, or is he looking at something totally different?
That's a key piece of the puzzle. Without knowing his program, we're just guessing. And even if his program aligns perfectly with his technical expertise, there's another hurdle, right?
Right. AUCDT's admissions policy is clear, qualifications beyond the usual ones. Like Tumfu's technical credentials, they need to be reviewed by the National Accreditation Board.
So it's not just about checking boxes. His qualifications would be carefully looked at to make sure they meet AUCDT's standards.
Exactly. The National Accreditation Board's role is crucial. They ensure the quality of higher education in Ghana. They'd assess whether Tumfu's technical qualifications are equivalent to what's needed for the specific program.
Sounds thorough, but also potentially a lengthy process. If I were Tumfu, I'd be a bit anxious about all this uncertainty.
I understand. But I think the best thing for him to do is contact AUCDT's admissions office directly. They can guide him through that process, answer his questions, advise him on the most suitable pathway for his field.
So being proactive is key. Don't just wait and hope. He needs to take charge and get clarification from the experts.
I agree. It's about being informed and taking those necessary steps to navigate the complexities of the admissions process.
It's a bit like AUCDT's philosophy. Taking what you have, your qualifications and experience, and shaping them into something that meets their standards.
Great analogy. It really highlights how important agency and initiative are in the admissions process.
Speaking of shaping things, remember those revised admission policies. We need to explore how those changes might impact Priscilla and Tumfu's chances.
Right. Those changes with the new aggregate scores and H&D requirements could be a game changer. Let's dive into those next.
Let's do it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Aucdt University College of Design and Technology. I'm glad you're still with us.
Me too.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from their unique origins in philosophy to the nuts and bolts of their admissions process. We even analyzed whether Priscilla and Tumfu have what it takes to get in.
And we found some potential hurdles, especially with those recent revisions to their admission policies.
Those revisions definitely made things more challenging, especially for students applying with WASIS qualifications and those with H&Ds. Let's take a closer look at these changes and what they mean for potential AUCDT students.
Right. One of the biggest changes is that minimum total aggregate score for WASI and SSCE candidates. Remember, before there wasn't a specific aggregate requirement for those qualifications.
Right, and that's where Priscilla ran into trouble. Her aggregate score didn't meet the new minimum of 36 for WASI. This shift towards a more standardized approach makes things clearer, but it also means students need to be aware of these specific targets.
Exactly. It's more transparent, but it also raises the bar. For SSCE candidates, the minimum aggregate is 24.
So anyone who wants to go to AUCDT needs to aim high and shoot for those top scores. Now, about the H&D revisions, those seem to have really shaken things up.
Yeah, they've definitely set a higher standard for H&D holders who want to pursue a bachelor's degree at AUCDT. Before, a second-class lower division H&D was enough, but now they're looking for a second-class upper or first class.
The big jump. What do you think is the reasoning behind this change?
It probably reflects their commitment to academic excellence. They're making it clear that they want students who have shown a high level of achievement in their previous studies, not just competence, but real excellence.
It makes sense. They want to make sure that everyone who enters their bachelor's programs is ready for the challenge.
Precisely. It's about maintaining the quality and standards of their programs, making sure all students, no matter how they got there, are prepared to succeed at AUCDT.
So how might these H&D revisions affect Tumfu Jones? We know he's got a strong technical background in mechanical engineering technology, but we don't know his H&D classification.
Right, that's a crucial detail. If he graduated with a second-class lower division, these new requirements would be a problem.
Another potential roadblock for him. But, again, not necessarily the end of the road.
Exactly. He could explore other options, like that mature student entry route. If he's old enough and confident, he can pass the entrance exams. Or, depending on his situation and goals, he might think about re-enrolling in an H&D program and aim for a higher classification that way.
It just goes to show that the path to higher education isn't always a straight line. There might be detours, unexpected obstacles, And being flexible is important.
Absolutely. Resilience and a willingness to explore different options are so important.
Well, we've unpacked these new admission policies, and it's clear that AUCDT is serious about setting high standards. They want individuals who are academically ready, but also passionate, driven, and ready to make a real impact.
They're not just looking for students, they're looking for future leaders and innovators, people who will contribute to Ghana's development and beyond.
This leads to our final question for you. Considering everything we've learned, what kind of person do you think would really thrive in this environment? Imagine yourself walking through AUCDT's doors. What kind of person do you see succeeding there?
I think someone who thrives at AUCDT would be creative and practical, someone who likes a challenge, someone who gets excited about turning raw materials into something innovative and valuable, whether it's a beautiful piece of jewelry, a groundbreaking product, or even a sustainable solution to a local problem.
Right, someone who's not afraid to roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and experiment.
Yes, exactly. They'd need that entrepreneurial spirit, a desire to learn and grow, and a passion for using their skills to make a positive difference.
And let's not forget those core values: diligence, accountability, commitment to nation building. It's not just about getting a degree, it's about being part of something bigger, contributing to a shared vision for a brighter future.
Well said.
So if you're excited by design, technology, and the idea of making a real impact, then AUCDT might be the perfect place for you to start your journey.
And even if your path isn't straightforward, remember there are always other options. Don't let setbacks stop you. Let them fuel your determination.
That's a great message to end on. Education is a journey of discovery, and sometimes the most rewarding paths are the ones that take unexpected turns.
That's the beauty of it.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into Aucdt University College of Design and Technology. We hope this exploration has given you some valuable insights and sparked your own curiosity. Until next time, keep diving deep and embracing the joy of discovery. This deep dive is really fascinating, a design school with a strong mission and a unique way of doing things. But, we've talked about philosophy, about values, but how do they actually choose the students? The ones who will embody all of this logo, it has all this symbolism representing their aspirations. Who gets to walk through AUCDT's doors?
That's where the admission requirements come in. They've got different pathways, different ways to get in, because they know talent comes from different backgrounds. They have options for students with WAS-SEG-BCE qualifications. GCE advanced level, HND, they even accept ABCE diplomas.
Sounds like they're trying to reach a wide range of students. That's good.
Yeah.
But let's not get lost in all the details of every single option. We have Priscilla and Tumfu's records, remember? Let's see if what they've got matches up with what AUCDT is looking for.
Yeah, good idea. Let's see how these potential students measure up. Priscilla, she wants to study jewelry design technology, and she gave us her WASI scores.
So first things first, does she meet those minimum requirements for the core subjects? English language, core mathematics, and integrated science.
Oh, she does, yeah. She's got a B3 in both English language and core mathematics, and a B2 in integrated science. Those are well above the C6 that AUCDT requires for their bachelor's program.
Okay, so far so good. Now, for jewelry design technology, her grades in the specific electives are going to be key.
Absolutely. We need to look at general knowledge in art, ceramics, graphic design, and textiles.
Let's see how those turned out, especially with all this emphasis on creativity and innovation at AUCDT.
All right, well, she's got an A1 in general knowledge in art. That's pretty impressive. Suggests she's got a real knack for it, a real passion. And she also scored a B2 in ceramics.
Those are great scores. Sounds like she's found her thing. What about graphic design and textiles?
C5 in both. Not as strong as her art grades, but they still meet the minimum requirements.
Okay, good, good. But let's address the elephant in the room here, the aggregate score. AUCDT recently changed things up, remember. They now require a minimum aggregate of 36 for WAS.
Oh, that's right. And this is where Priscilla might hit a snag. Her total aggregate, considering both core and elective subjects, it comes out to 16.
Ooh, that's quite a bit lower than what's needed. It's too bad. She's clearly talented in the areas that directly relate to her field. So does this mean her dream of studying at AUCDT is over?
Not necessarily, no. AUCDT is all about providing different pathways. She could always apply through the mature student entry route. That's for people who maybe didn't take the traditional academic path, but have gained experience and skills in other ways.
So even though she doesn't meet the requirements for direct entry, there's still a way.
Exactly. She could retake the WASI, try to get a higher aggregate, or explore that mature student option if she's old enough and feels confident.
It's a good reminder that there's not always just one path to success. Sometimes you got to think outside the box, be willing to explore different options.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to Tum-Fu Jones now. His situation is interesting. He's coming in with a technical examination result from Kapandu Technical Institute, specializing in mechanical engineering technology. We've got his results here. He passed all 4 parts of the exam with flying colors. A pass for workshop processes and materials, and credit grades for mechanical engineering craft practice, machine shop engineering, and technical drawing. Solid results, but how do they translate into AUCDT's world?
Well, that's where things get a bit complicated. We need more information to know for sure if he's eligible. What bachelor's degree is he aiming for? Is it related to his technical background, or is he thinking of branching out?
Good point. Without knowing his program, it's all speculation. And even if his program matches his expertise perfectly, there's another hurdle, right?
You're right. AUCDT's policy states that qualifications that are a bit different, like Tum-Fu's technical ones, they have to be reviewed by the National Accreditation Board.
So it's not as easy as just meeting the requirements on paper. His qualifications would be scrutinized to make sure they're up to par with AUCDT's standards.
Exactly. The National Accreditation Board plays a vital role in ensuring quality in higher education in Ghana. They'd have to assess whether Tum-Fu's technical qualifications are equivalent to what's needed for the specific program.
Sounds like a thorough process, but maybe a bit time-consuming too. If I were in Tum-Fu's shoes, I'd be a little anxious about all this uncertainty.
I understand. It can be nerve-wracking. But the best thing for him to do is reach out to AUCDT's admissions office. They'll be able to walk him through it, answer any questions he has, and advise him on the best path forward.
So being proactive is key. Don't just sit and wait. He needs to take the initiative and get some clarification from the experts.
I agree completely. It's all about being informed and taking those necessary steps.
It's a bit like AUCDT's philosophy, taking what you have, your qualifications and experience, and shaping them to meet their standards.
Great analogy. It really highlights how important it is to be proactive.
Speaking of shaping things, remember those revised admission policies we talked about?
Yeah.
We should look at how those might affect Priscilla and Tum-Fu's chances.
You're right. Those new aggregate scores and H&D requirements, those could be a game changer. Let's dig into those next.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Aucdt University College of Design and Technology. We've uncovered a lot about this unique institution, from their fascinating beginnings to their impressive admissions process. We even took a look at whether Priscilla and Tum-Fu have what it takes to get in.
Yeah, and we discovered a few potential roadblocks along the way, especially with those recent updates to their admission policies.
Those updates definitely raise the bar for applicants, especially those with WASIS qualifications and H&Ds. Let's break down these changes and see how they might affect potential AUCDT students.
One of the most significant changes is the introduction of a minimum aggregate score for both WASI and SCE candidates. Remember, before there wasn't a specific aggregate requirement for those qualifications.
Right, and that's where Priscilla might have a problem. Her aggregate score fell short of that new minimum of 36 for WASI. This shift towards a more standardized approach is definitely more transparent. But it also means students need to be extra aware of these specific targets.
Exactly. It's clearer, but it also means they have to aim higher. For SSSCE, the minimum aggregate is 24 now.
So aspiring AUCDT students, take note. You got to aim for those top scores. So now let's talk about the H&D revisions. Those seem to have really changed the game.
Definitely. They've upped the ante for H&D holders who want to pursue a bachelor's degree at AUCDT. Before, a second-class lower division H&D was sufficient, but now they're looking for second-class upper or first class.
Wow, that's a significant change. What do you think the reasoning is behind that?
I think it shows their commitment to academic excellence. They're sending a message that they're looking for students who have a proven track record of high achievement, not just competence, but real excellence in their previous studies.
Makes sense. They want to make sure that everyone entering their bachelor's programs is up to the challenge.
Exactly. It's about maintaining the quality and standards of their degrees, making sure that all students, regardless of their background, are prepared to thrive at AUCDT.
So how might these H&D revisions impact Tum-Fu Jones? We know he has that solid technical background in mechanical engineering technology, but we don't know his H&D classification.
True, that's a key piece of information. If he graduated with a second-class lower division, these new requirements could be a problem.
Another hurdle for him, potentially. But again, Maybe not a complete dead end.
Right. He could explore other options like the mature student entry route if he meets the age requirement and is confident in his abilities. Or, depending on his circumstances and goals, he might consider going back to an H&D program and aiming for that higher classification.
It's a good reminder that the path to higher education isn't always linear. There might be detours, unexpected obstacles, and being flexible is key.
Absolutely. Resilience and a willingness to explore different paths are so important.
Well, we've unpacked these revised admission policies, and it's clear that AUCDT is serious about setting a high bar for their students. They want people who are not just academically prepared, but also passionate, driven, and ready to make a difference.
They're not just looking for students, they're looking for future leaders and innovators, people who will contribute to Ghana's development and make a positive impact on the world.
So, final question for you. Considering all we've learned, what kind of person do you think would truly flourish in this environment? Picture yourself walking through those doors at AUCDT. What kind of student do you see succeeding there?
I think someone who thrives at AUCDT is a blend of creative and practical. Someone who loves the challenge of taking raw materials and turning them into something innovative and valuable, whether it's a stunning piece of jewelry, a game-changing product, or a sustainable solution to a local problem.
Someone who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty, to experiment and think outside the box.
Exactly. Someone with that entrepreneurial drive, a thirst for knowledge and growth, and a passion for using their skills to make a positive impact.
And we can't forget those core values: diligence, accountability, commitment to nation building. It's not just about getting a degree, it's about being part of something bigger, contributing to a vision for a brighter future.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So if design, technology, and the idea of making a real difference in the world excite you, then AUCDT might just be the perfect place to start your journey.
And even if your path isn't straight and narrow, remember, there are always alternative routes. Don't let setbacks discourage you. Let them fuel your determination.
That's a great message to end on. Education is a journey of discovery, and often the most rewarding paths are the ones less traveled.
That's the beauty of it.
And with that, we conclude our deep dive into Aucdt University College of Design and Technology. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and that we've sparked your curiosity to learn more. Until next time, keep exploring and embrace the joy of discovery.
Essence of this remarkable institution. Listen up, let me tell you about a college so fun, where knowledge is the currency. It's all in the mind. AUCDT is science school where dreams come alive. In the heart of OUB, where we thrive. Come on down, students from far and wide. At Aucdt University, we'll take you on a ride. We've got the rhythm, the beat, and the groove. Learning and laughter, oh what a move. Oh, a move. AUCDT is Aucdt. Oh, let the knowledge flow. We're the heartbeat of OUB. We make it glow. Aucdt University, where dreams are found.